Tim's News Explosion. 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 Tim's News Explosion.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Tim's News Explosion on this Monday, the 23rd of September 2024. We are live on the Wilmsfront YouTube channel, the Wilmsfront Odyssey channel, and the Wilmsfront Rumble channel. Hello to everyone in the live chats. I hope you enjoyed the live, fresh Wilmsfront show last night with economist and political strategist Birchall Wilson. It is 9 p.m. here in Melbourne, Victoria, where it is AFL Grand Final week with the Sydney Swans versus my team, the Brisbane Lions, in our second grand final in a row, going down heartbreakingly to Collingwood last year by 4 points, who failed to make the finals. So suck on that, Ricky T. You've had a quiet September. But I'll be making sure to tune in when the grand final starts at 1 minute after 2:30 p.m. So I do not encounter any of Uncle Colin Hunter's welcome to country waffle. So in every AFL final, including right now at the Brownlow, Uncle Colin Hunter is giving the welcome to country at the Brownlow at Crown Casino, which of course the Aborigines didn't build. It was built by the Packer family. One of the Packers should be doing the welcome to country there. Of course, the other big contest in Melbourne, which is now in its second week, is in the federal court, Deeming versus Pesutto, where exiled Victorian Liberal MLC Moira Deeming is suing Liberal leader John Pesutto for defamation over the media releases, including the dossier, which was full of fake information, in particular about Kelly J. Keane and his press conferences and various media interviews he gave in his push to expel her from the Parliamentary Liberal Party. 67 alleged defamatory imputations form part of Deeming's claim for damages, by claiming that Pesutto damaged her reputation by accusing her of supporting or associating with white supremacists and neo-Nazis. Now, of course, this stemmed all from when the National Socialist Network gatecrashed the Let Women Speak event way back on the 18th of March, 2023, which was part of Kelly J. Keane's tour of Australia and New Zealand. And of course, I was a witness to and documented it. Also with me was Margot Huss and Lady of Shalott and her son, and Paleo Conservative Australian. And in fact, a segment from my vlog that I uploaded, I think I recall I uploaded it there. I'm using that word that we heard a lot in court last week. Searching my recall, I can't recall, but I do recall that I uploaded it probably about close to midnight on the 18th of March, which was the day of the rally. So it was played during Moira Deeming's cross-examination by John Pesutto's barrister, Dr. Matthew Collins, AM, KC. So the excerpt that was played was of Thomas Sewell's speech on the steps of Victorian Parliament in front of the National Socialist Network and in front of their Destroy Pedo Freaks banner.
It is our belief that revolution is coming. It is our belief that these communists, pedophiles, and trannies have infiltrated every single institution of this country across the West. They're not just coming for your children, they're coming for everyone's. They cannot breathe. They have castrated themselves chemically, psychologically, and spiritually. We wish for the survival and preservation of our people. We're not here to have a conversation with these people. We're not here to make a compromise with these communists. We're not here to be nice and friendly. We are revolutionaries, and we are here to destroy the sick and rotten society that has left us all out to dry.
Now, Moira Deeming's reaction in court was that they should have been arrested for incitement. Moira Deeming said during a cross-examination that she didn't know that they were Nazis until she saw that they were being escorted away from Victoria Police. So Deeming's barrister is Sue Chrysanathu, SC. So she said in her opening in court last Monday, so this was before Moira Deeming's cross-examination, said that Pesutto tarred her with the Nazi brush in a campaign of destruction. So Pesutto's defense is that he was expressing an honest opinion, contextual truth, public interest defense, and he also claims that Pesutto Pesutto also claims that Deeming herself caused damage to her own reputations by making false assertions that she had been branded a Nazi. Pesutto denies that he ever called Deeming a white supremacist or a neo-Nazi sympathizer. Now, Kelly J. Keane and the host of Turf Talk, Angie Jones, also sued John Pesutto for defamation. He settled with them and issued an apology on his website. So it's being heard by Justice John O'Callaghan. So you can watch so it goes for 3 weeks. So we're in the second week, Monday to Friday, from about 10 o'clock in the morning to 4 p.m. in the afternoon. So it's streamed on YouTube, but I will make stress to mention that to reproduce, record in any way the court stream is contempt of court. So that includes video, audio, or even stills. So it's being streamed in the interests of open justice. Most magistrates and county court and Supreme Court cases in Victoria, unless they're under suppression, I broadcast via either Zoom or by Cisco WebEx. So it's one of the sort of silver linings, I guess, of the shutting down of the court system during COVID, is that if you can't make it to the court case, you can watch it online. And obviously because this is, it's a de facto, this defamation case, it's a de facto battle for the future direction of the Victorian Liberal Party. So the reason why John Pesutto panicked after the Let Women Speak when the National Socialist Network turned up is because, well, he's a liberal moderate, or as some people would say, left-winger. And it was recorded by his deputy, David Southwick, the meeting that he had with Moira Deeming, along with the rest of the leadership team, Georgie Crozier, Matthew Back, and one of the staffers for Pesutto, where they invite her in and ask her to put forward her story of events, and then they basically ambush her, saying, "Look, this is what we've been able to get about the associations that Kelly J. Keane has." some of which were. Pesutto said that Kelly J. Keane appeared with David Duke and Mark Collette. She appeared on a program which had also previously interviewed Mark Collette and David Duke, the old 6 Degrees of Separation. Margot is in the chat. I was just saying to the audience, Margot, you were a witness, along with myself, of the Let Women Speak on the 18th of March. So what I remember is that Thomas Sewell and the National Socialist Network, they approached from the north of Spring Street, next to the theatre. I can't remember what it was. What's it called? The theatre, I should say. And originally, police blocked everybody from approaching them. I got pushed back by the police, but then Victoria Police changed their mind and allowed the NSN to gather on the steps adjacent to Let Women Speak, Princess Theatre it was. And that's when Thomas Sewell made his speech. They did the Nazi salutes. I cut that bit out of the edit I just made because it's illegal now to even broadcast Nazi salutes in Australia. So unless it's for, well, educational purposes or to be against Nazism. So I just want to be on the safe side. But the video was published before it was even illegal to publicly perform it in Victoria. So after Thomas Sewell made his speech and they did their Nazi salutes, then they left and they left and went past the trans-Tifa socialist counter protesters doing the Nazi salute, and then went south towards Treasury Gardens and Parliament Station. They were heckled by Andy Medic, the former Animal Justice Party MLC, who has 2 trans kids. His daughter is now his son. His son is now his daughter. So I don't know. I don't know why Victoria Police all of a sudden decided that they would let the NSN in. They later said it's because their resources were stretched and they wanted to keep the peace, and they saw that the National Socialist Network were not a threat to the Let Women Speak group. And they just continued on like nothing was happening. I thought maybe at the time that they didn't want to let anything get in the way of their event, not trans-Tifa or the National Socialist Network gate crashers. So that is what they said in the aftermath. Now, in the meeting that Pesutto and his team had with Moira Deeming, they also attacked Moira Deeming for the evening video post the rally that Moira did with Kelly J. Keane, Angie Jones, and Catherine Deeves, which I'll just play to refresh your memory, which is they talk about this conspiracy theory that many conservatives had, that the NSN were paid actors by Victoria Police or the Victorian government to make the Let Women Speak look bad.
They did.
Yeah, there was no symbols. People are saying, why didn't you tell the Nazis to leave? Well, there was no Nazi symbols on them. I thought they were Antifa. Until they put their hands up like that, I thought they were the trans rights activists. And then when they did that, they were being escorted out and it was over.
Well, the funny thing is as well, they shout at me, you can't run, you can't hide, you've got Nazis on your side. And they're really angry, shouting that I'm this thing and this apparent thing that they really hate. When those men did that Nazi salute,
there was no reaction.
There was no reaction whatsoever. Those trans activists didn't get more angry, didn't shout, didn't get more aggressive. They didn't do anything.
It was as if I was saying hello.
So maybe it was that. Maybe it was like, hi, all right, mate,
to their friends.
But I think it's very interesting because I think if any one of us, recognizable women, had walked that same bit down there, they would have broken through, they would have attacked us. And I just, something about all of this doesn't make any sense. It feels really off. It feels like they were either, I mean, look, in the UK, we had police impregnating women who were animal rights campaigners, right? And we had those police infiltrating groups. I don't think it's beyond the wit of anyone to think that that either was TRAs dressed up, or police, or just something was just off. I guess it's not really for us to work out why the police suddenly escorted them away and passed everyone. I mean, that's nuts. But I wonder what prompted them to leave, because I didn't really notice them at all when we were doing anything.
We all had our backs to these guys on the steps. We had our backs to these blokes, and so there was a few of us milling around. Once we realised they weren't a threat, we kind of turned our backs and just got on with it.
Yeah.
And so the reason that there's no photos out there of the Nazis with us, the Nazis inverted commas with us, is because they were never with us. They were like way over there. We all had our backs. We were facing the opposite direction. So when the police marched them out, they marched them towards the trans rights activists, past the trans rights activists. They saluted at the trans rights activist, and the trans rights activists didn't even blink and kept yelling at us women.
Yeah.
It's very strange.
It's very strange.
And on the weekend, you can see that this X post tweet from Kelly J. Keane is on the 20th of September 2024. She reposted her conspiracy theory. There was a time I would have dismissed any notion of the police allowing a bunch of camp Nazis to be in the vague proximity of women's rights campaigners to discredit them. These days, one has to ask, where the hell were the police doing? Why were women prevented to even put a bag on the top of the steps and Nazis given a red carpet to salute on it? There's something hideous going on in Australia, and I don't just mean Pesutto's ego. And now the conspiracy theory about the NSN being paid by the police or the government, the thing that they latched onto was the fact that one of the NSN members, Nathan Bull, his father is a Victoria police officer, so that's how they draw that bow. But Nathan Bull is currently before the courts appealing a fine for offensive behavior, along with Michael Nelson, when they gate crashed a Iranian rally wearing shirts that said 6 million a bit much, which is not illegal, but the Victoria Police deemed it offensive behavior. Now, in the recording, which you can listen to on the federal court website. So on the federal court website, they've got online files and transcripts. You can actually listen to the whole audio and download a transcript of it at the federal court website. And so it's Southwick in particular who attacks Deeming for alleging this conspiracy, and he also, because he's Jewish, uses the Jewish card to express his also another thing used against Moira Deeming, which Southwick expressed disgust at, was Angie Jones replying to can't remember what tweet she was replying to, but it was Nazis and TERFs want to get rid of pedo filth, why don't you? I think I'm paraphrasing there. And that's also been cited in Moira Deeming's cross-examination about, well, look at what your one of the people that helped organize the rally, because what's also being used against Moira is part of Pesutto's defense, and also why he lobbied to expel her was that to ensure security for the rally, Moira escorted Kelly J. Keane out the back of Parliament House, and there was going to actually be a reception inside Parliament House, but it couldn't be done on the weekend because there isn't as many security on the weekend. So Matthew Collins, KC, tried to portray Moira as evasive and deceptive to her leader, and also as incompetent, not knowing enough about Kelly J. Keane and her associations. Defamation lawyers are good at what they do. I mean, basically, that's their strategy is basically destroy the credibility of a witness and make them look bad. And we also saw that on display during the Bruce Lemon versus Network 10. None of the witnesses came out good during that, and obviously they do their due diligence, these defamation lawyers, and they've got everything that could possibly be used. There's lots and lots of preparation. So Moira's cross-examination went for, it was about almost 3 days. They originally got the Unshackled footage. It was incorrectly labeled as, what is that, Stone the Crows, which that was really weird. I don't know any channel called Stone the Crows. The only one that's remotely similar that I can think of is the National Socialist Network South Australian branch, the Crow Eater. Dawn Browning says, NSN blindsided Kelly J. Keane's speeches. No way they could have known. Well, Thomas Sewell on the Monday evening post the rally did a live stream with Blair Cottrell where he said it was a last minute by him and the NSN to show up. And obviously there'd been that is when Pesutto's motion had been circulated, that dossier had been circulated, and he was doing a media blitz. Thomas Sewell has provided some quotes to Notice News and is questioning why he is not an expert witness. So he said, why wouldn't I be an expert witness to judge whether she's a Nazi or not, considering I'm the Nazi in question she can't associate with? He asked, adding that it was a fascinating case with major political implications. If she wins, it proves that being around Nazis doesn't make you a Nazi. And so the right wing can use the precedent again next time they get slightly more adjacent to us on accident, of course. He also spoke about the trial in a post on social media on Saturday night, saying it was clear that political elite were worried about the outcome. They don't want Moira Deeming to win a defamation case because it would mean being near, adjacent, even remotely associated with the literal National Socialists now slightly more acceptable. Mr. Source said that the trials have had provided inside information about how the Liberal Party really works, and referred to the crisis meeting secretly recorded by Jewish MP David Southwick at one point. Referenced that tweet from Angela Jones. So it was actually Nazis and women want to get rid of pedophile. Why don't you? It was offensive to his community. So even though John Pesutto in that recording said, this is not about your views. You can have your views. This is about your associations and also your lack of response after the Nazis gate crashed the event. Then they go into, you mentioned women's rights in your maiden speech, then on International Women's Day. That's 3 times in a short space of time. It looks like you're a single issue politician. that you're not part of the team. And that's when Pesutto mentions the expulsion motion, or says you could sit as an independent. He said that she could stay if she denounced Angela Jones and Kelly J. Keenan and Catherine Deeves, who is still a member of the Liberal Party. She would have had to disavow a fellow member of the Liberal Party to avoid being expelled from from their parliamentary Liberal Party. And he's quoted in, or I should say, he says in the recording, it's been quoted in the media, that Dan Andrews could rob a 7-Eleven this weekend, but that wouldn't make the news. It would be that Catherine Deeves is in town. And Georgie Crozier, the one woman in the leadership team, she says, "I am beyond furious with this, Moira." And basically, she's accused of ruining their strategy for the week to get Dan Andrews on the ropes. And we want to make this an inclusive Liberal Party for everybody, including trans people. And this is absolutely toxic to us and will prevent us from winning in 2026. Now, at the end of that week, a compromise was reached where Moira Deeming would be suspended from the parliamentary party room for 9 months, and which would have taken it to around December. Then and there was an agreement, and this will definitely come out when Pesutto is cross-examined, the agreement to issue a joint statement. And this is the fact that this didn't eventuate is why Moira Deeming announced that, well, it was reported in the media would be taking legal action against Pesutto, and that's when she was expelled in May 2023 from the parliamentary Liberal Party room in a 19-11 vote, and Renee Heath was removed as secretary of the parliamentary party room. She gave a testimony on Friday where she said a lot of, I can't recall, because she used her Gmail to send the notes to Moira, which are not minutes. You're not allowed to publish minutes until they've been agreed to, and then they got leaked to Peter Credlin. So there's a lot which is sort of going into the nitty gritty. I mean, if you're a political junkie, you're given a great insight into how political parties operate, and it's hard to say which way this is going to go. I mean, none of us could have. It's a mug's game to try and as just a armchair legal observer to see how a single federal court judge will rule. It was the same with Bruce Lehrman versus Network 10. So whoever loses this, whether it be John Pesutto or Moira Deeming, will lose badly. If John Pesutto loses, that's the end of him as leader. And he actually wasn't doing too badly lately. He's ahead as preferred premier of Jacinta Allen, 30 to 29. She wasn't in Victoria last week. She was on a trade mission to India. And also she said, also maybe could you extradite back to Australia, that Paneet who fled Australia and is hiding in India after he was convicted and awaiting sentencing for a fatal hit and run. So there were Allen government surrogates to attack the Liberal Party during that week. So we will hear from maybe this week John Pesutto on because if he comes off badly during the cross-examination, I mean, he's the leader and a lawyer himself. But if Moira loses, she will most likely face bankruptcy, which bankrupts cannot sit in the Victorian Parliament, and it'll be seen as a win for the moderates, the lefties in the Liberal Party. So this is very high stakes. And now it wasn't all it didn't all go the Labor government's way last week. Dan Andrews, the now ex-premier, he may not be doing daily press conferences anymore, but he is still, there is still unanswered questions which the public want answers to, and the family of Ryan Melham, who Dan Andrews' wife Catherine hit, and he went to intensive care. This was back in 2013 when Dan Andrews was opposition leader. So Ryan's family are suing a law firm, Slater and Gordon, who represented them in the TAC claim for failing a duty of care. So the family of Ryan Melham commissioned a report from a former Victoria Police Assistant Commissioner by Dr. Raymond Shuey, who was the Assistant Commissioner for Traffic and Operations, claims that Andrew's version of events, remember they claim they came to a stop and Ryan T-boned the car when, of course, Ryan, he was on the windshield, which suggests that they were driving at speed and then hit Ryan, because when you hit it hits something when you're driving, it goes up on the windscreen. So it's a 36-page review and accuses Victoria Police of a cover-up. Proper procedure wasn't followed because Catherine Andrews wasn't breath tested. In fact, the Victoria Police recorded Catherine Andrews under a maiden name to cover up that there was a high-profile politician who was involved in this crash. The vehicle driver is Catherine Louise Kesek. This report was particularly damning from Victoria Police's one of their own, or one who used to be an assistant commissioner. So Mark here is mentioning, why don't women win in court? Avi won his court case. The cops apologized to him. Well, Monica Schmidt, she won her case against Victoria Police. 2 out of 3 arrests that they made in October 2020 were ruled to be unlawful by Magistrate Tran, but because she rejected a $15,000 settlement for Victoria Police under the rules of civil trials, if you reject a settlement which is higher than the amount you're awarded, she was awarded $4,000, and you have to pay the defendant's cost, which is $240,000. So Monica has no choice but to appeal this, otherwise she will be bankrupt. She tried to do another legal fundraiser. Remember, Consumer Affairs took her to court for another legal fundraiser. So it's pretty much damned whatever she does, Monica Schmidt. And so obviously the courts have to accept her appeal, which is the other question. Dawn Browning says, Pesutto, it was clear they wanted rid of Moira. Well, they got rid of Moira's predecessor in the Western Metropolitan region, Bernie Finn. expelled him for his restating his pro-life views. Matthew Guy was the leader at the time. In fact, that's one of the defenses of John Pesutto campaigning to get Moira expelled. It's, well, Matthew Guy did that as well before he expelled Bernie Finn. Did a media campaign against him, and of course, Bernie was expelled because they wanted his seat, and then Moira won pre-selection for the top spot, and it was actually Bernie Finn who recruited Moira Deeming and her husband Andrew. So that blew up in her face. So I guess the strategy then was, well, we'll just expel her as well until, I guess, the Liberal Party members pre-select the day that we want. Now, one defamation case where there was justice was Heston Russell, the ex-Afghan SAS war veteran. Now, because he came out strongly against the smearing of Afghan war veterans in the Brereton report, which recommended the stripping of medals, which the Defence Minister Richard Marles has now implemented and founded Voice of a Veteran, there was a target on him from the ABC in particular, and they aired a defamatory investigation aired on 7:30 by its reporter Mark Willacy, who has suffered no consequences. He was given the plum job of producing the ABC's documentary of the coalition years in power nemesis. Heston Russell spoke to 7 News Spotlight, and they revealed that in the ABC's audio that they said that was proof that Heston Russell shot an unarmed civilian. He was given permission to do that. They added 5 extra gunshots. So now Heston Russell won his defamation case against the ABC, got $390,000 in damages. Though, of course, the ABC, because it's funded by us, it's not their money. They just don't really care. And of course, they didn't punish their reporter at all. And so the ABC is now conducting an investigation into its investigations unit. And now they claim that the journalists involved didn't doctor the audio, but they're trying to see how it will happen. And so they've got an independent investigation review. And this is only because they've been caught. So we shall see. It's still the ABC commissioning an investigation into itself. I mean, they remember that Louise Milligan, she wasn't. The ABC paid her legal costs when she was sued by ex-Liberal MP Andrew Lemming for accusing him of upskirting. So they never punished these ABC reporters for their gross journalistic misconduct. Now, the House of Representatives in Canberra isn't sitting, only the Senate is. So last week we had the omnibus full of anti-free speech laws. So the centerpiece, obviously, the Combating Misinformation and Disinformation Bill. Then there's the strengthened hate crimes criminal code amendment bill. Then there's the anti-doxing, privacy and other legislation amendment bill. Now, my guest last night, Berkshire Wilson, who was had his private correspondence doxed, he supports these changes. Now, you would hope that the implementation of these laws that it protects people such as Birchall from having their personal correspondence published, but we have seen in the draft that a lot of it seems aimed at against the TERFs, dead naming trans people. I.e., the implementation of such laws is always leads to unintended or maybe intended, because is it going to stop the White Rose Society or Slack Bastard doxing nationalists and patriots? Are they going to be prosecuted? Now, the Libertarian Party, who had a fantastic win in the New South Wales local government elections, could win up to 15 seats. They are organising nationwide rallies against the Disinformation Bill. There's one in Sydney this Saturday, the 28th of September, in the Domain at Speaker's Corner, 11:30 a.m. And then there is one the next weekend on Saturday, October the 5th. It's from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's not going to be this weekend because it's grand final day. This is at Flagstaff Gardens. I'll certainly be there. It's the same weekend as CPAC is being held in Brisbane. And Kelly J. Keane has announced that she is going to be attending. We still don't know whether Tony Burke, the new immigration minister, will deny her a visa, like he's indicating he will for Candace Owens. And did anyone see that Kelly J. Keane had tomato soup poured over her again by a man at Sheffield's Let Women Speak? Clearly a copycat from the 2023 Auckland tomato soup assaulter, Elena Rubashkakin. Remember that a Ukrainian Jew born in Colombia, whose intersex individual identifies as a woman, was convicted and discharged of there was 2 assault charges because one of Kelly J. Keane's associates was hit with the tomato sauce. That was on March 25th at Auckland's Albert Park, Bandaroa, and Dewey DeBoer was there, and the baying mob, which was also John Pesutto played his part in inciting that mob, but one of the key inciters was, of course, that Chanel Lau, that promiscuous Indian Fijian LGBTQ activist who he said, I'm going to protest, but I'm in fear for my life, even though what it turned out that Kelly J. Keane, she feared for her life with that mob. Ordering Australia's in the chat. We'll see you at Flagstaff. Want to have a chat with you? Hit me up if you see me there. Well, you know what I look like, auditing Australia. So come and tap me on the shoulder. I wonder if the Antifa will stage a counter protest pro-censorship. I wouldn't put it past them. So remember with the Freedom Rally in November 2021, just after the 6th lockdown had ended, 500,000 people showed up. It was absolutely incredible. And there was a pathetic little pro-health rally full of fatties wearing masks, which... I noticed that some of the ones who wore masks that day don't wear masks anymore. Although, of course, when they're counter protesting something, the masks come back on, and also goggles come as well. They'll certainly be countering the March for the Babies on the next weekend, Saturday the 12th of October, which is led by ex-Liberal MLC Bernie Finn, who's now running for the Senate, the Family First Party. The counter protest, well, it's called a celebration of choice. It's led by my fat nemesis, Christopher Johnson, CJ Marambina on Twitter X, who literally gave me a shout out at the Women Will Speak, the one just passed last month. So it's going to be a busy events month in Melbourne. So I will certainly see you at the free speech rally on the 5th and on the 12th for March for the Babies as well. Now, in the Senate last week, Pauline Hanson, she attempted to suspend standing orders to attempt to reintroduce her sex discrimination amendment, acknowledging biological reality bill to restore definitions of biological sex in response to the Tickle versus Giggle decision, which our Sex Discrimination Act actually doesn't define sex. That was removed by Australia's first female Prime Minister, Julia Gillard. That's her legacy. And it was voted down the week before in the first reading, which is pretty unprecedented. Normally, private members' bill are at least given the courtesy of having their bill read a first time. But the Albanese government's Minister for Women, Katie Gallagher, she refusing to actually identify what a woman is in legislation, and this was her justification.
And you may scoff and you may, put it on your social media so that we get inundated with all the hate and abuse that comes with that. That's fine. And we disagree on bills all the time in this place, all the time. They are on policy. And that's fine. This is a vibrant democracy. But when you have bills that seek to harm people, including young people, we will draw the line. That is a red line for us. We do not apologise. We know how vulnerable the gender diverse community is. We know how they struggle. We do not think the Senate is a qualified place for that debate. That debate should be had at home, with friends, with professionals, with health professionals that seek to guide some of those decisions, some of those difficult decisions for young people in this country. They are qualified. An irrational debate in this place that seeks to hurt and undermine young people, we will draw the line. This is not about not allowing free speech or shutting down democracy. People introduce bills in this place all the time. Every private member's bill that comes in, we would probably, if it wasn't from our side, we would disagree with. That's what they're being pulled in for. But we have to have a line in this chamber that says, no, you know what? We're not going to let this parliament and everybody in it share their views on your personal choice. When it concerns people, when it's such a deeply personal and divisive debate that you seek to bring into this chamber, and don't pretend it's otherwise. Don't pretend that it's just a matter of policy interest for you. It's not. That's not how the debate about the gender diverse community goes in this country. We know that. And we have to win a majority of votes. It's not as if this is being, you're being shut down without the will of the chamber. The chamber has to support that, and they did last week, and I hope that the chamber will oppose the suspension this morning and oppose the bill being brought on.
Order. There being 27 ayes and 30 noes, the matter is resolved in the negative.
So, Katie Gallagher, the nerve and of her to claim that shutting down debate of Pauline Hanson's bill is to protect people and children. What about the women and children being harmed because of the Sex Discrimination Act, and also the various gender practices that are going on in the various states and territories as well. We have self ID in Victoria, and also there is self ID in Queensland. Well, you have to get two people to basically sign a stat deck to say yes, you are a bona fide changed gender. And Stephen Giggles Miles, he was at a Queensland Pride's event during the last Thirsty Thursday with Dusty Bogan, who is in the chat. We got a super chat from fellow comrade who alleges that Stephen Miles is gay, and because well, he's appeared in these Pride things a lot recently. I made the point, well, he's at least done it with his wife 3 times to produce 3 children. And he also released a video on social media. I haven't got it. With his senior female ministers, the Minister for Women, Shannon Fentiman, and Grace, and another one, as labeling himself as the defender of women. So the other one was the Housing Minister, Megan Scanton. So I've actually got it here. It's embedded in this Sky News article, so I'll play it here. Yeah, so the text for those who are listening, so it addresses a woman's right to choose, or choose abortion, women's healthcare, breast screen services, midwife to patient ratio, reproductive leave, victim survivors, domestic violence leave, super on parental leave, free kindy, women in trades, period product in schools, and respect for women at work. So Sal Grover, who of course had to has to pay Roxanne Tickle a compensation for excluding Roxy Tickle from the Giggle app, and now so this wasn't a defamation case. It was a anti-discrimination case from the stemming from a Human Rights Commission complaint. So it was $10,000 plus costs that Sal Grover was ordered to pay, and Sal Grover, she's going to be appealing to the High Court. So she replied to Stephen Miles that allowing us to be a sex class in law that men cannot identify into as the start of a conversation. And Sal Grover was blocked by Stephen Miles. I guess you could call that giggles versus giggle. Now, but why do we need laws? Why does the government need to pass more anti-free speech laws when there's already still lots of cancel culture happening without the government's involvement, like what has happened to this restaurant in McKinnon, Urban Street restaurant, because they hosted the second event held by the National Workers Alliance, which was founded by Matt Tree, who leads I think he still leads those freedom rallies in the Melbourne CBD every weekend. So Blair Cottrell, Thomas Sewell, and Joel Davis were in attendance. So was Damien Richardson, the The event was titled "The Importance of Western Civilization Preserving European Culture and Identity." Now, clearly, there was Antifa who bought a ticket to dox the restaurant and the event. It also, Damien Richardson was also accused of making a Nazi salute, which Damien Richardson denies. Now, so this restaurant has been forced to close. So they have, Urban Street spokesman defended their decision to host the gathering, saying under no circumstances were they made aware of National Workers Alliance involvement. The spokesman said a manager at Urban Street was told the event would be about immigration. We're not giving further details about the nature of the event. We have dismissed the manager for a error in judgment. We sincerely apologize if we offended anybody. It was never our intention. So they are too scared to reopen because of a silly misjudgment. We got fucked over because no one told us the truth. Though I saw that some Antifa accounts have posted some video that was taken inside, and which he said that the owner of the restaurant, Matri says the owner of the restaurant actually gave us was okay with us holding this event here, and we thank him. We wanted to make sure, because we've been cancelled before, that we could have this type of event here, which sort of contradicts the statement here. So, yes, that is. Now, there was a National Workers Alliance event at the Polish Club, which is still in Rowville, which is still in operation. But I guess it just shows how a cancel culture, holding events is fraught with such consequences here that the restaurant that hosted it had to close. National Socialist Network were in Bendigo this past weekend, letterboxing. I don't know if there's been an article yet quoting De Vere or somebody that said that it felt like he'd been stabbed in the heart. They've got a quote in this Herald Sun article from I think a different Jewish lobbyist, Zionist Federation of Australia CEO Alan Castillo said he was appalled to hear neo-Nazi group was allowed to conduct a recruitment drive out of the venue and urged police to conduct a thorough investigation of the incident. The reports of a neo-Nazi group met in suburban cafe in McKinnon, close to the heart of Melbourne's Jewish community, for recruitment drive is deeply alarming, Mr. Castillo said. Now, Matt Trahey, I think that's how you pronounce it, he also provided a quote to the Herald Sun. He describes himself a right-leaning traditionalist who had previously ascribed to a group whose members went on to create the neo-Nazi group, the National Socialist Network. That's referring to the Lad Society. He added he had no control who attended the ticket event, saying participants intended comes a wide range of views from people from either end of the political spectrum. It was an important discussion about Western civilization and the effect of mass migration was having on Western countries. And he also said about the alleged Nazi salute. A gentleman made a joke, but he did not give a Nazi salute. So Anthony Albanese, he was also absent from Australia last week. He was over in Delaware, in Joe Biden's home state, where the Quad had the final meeting of his presidency, which encompasses Australia, the United States, Japan, and India. It's basically the No China's club, even though it's it's not the official line is it's got nothing to do with about containing the strategic threat of China. So they actually met at Joe Biden's old Delaware high school. And back at the White House, First Lady Dr. Jill Biden chaired a cabinet meeting, which a lot of people are pointing out is not constitutional. If there's a cabinet meeting and the president can't attend, then it should be the vice president who chairs the cabinet meeting under the 25th Amendment, though Kamala Harris, maybe it's too hard from her to be campaigning for the presidency for herself and continuing on her duties as vice president, which was, well, the chief one was to be the border czar. And so she had a town hall with Oprah Winfrey in Detroit, Michigan. Well, it was also a virtual town hall as well, because there was all of these attendees on Zoom, including various celebrities such as Ben Stiller, Jennifer Lopez, Julia Roberts, and there were pre-approved questions from the audience. So one was about the border. She said that she hasn't fixed the border because the Republicans didn't vote for the Democrats' border bill because Donald Trump didn't want Republicans to vote for it because he wants to solve the border crisis. So she's the real tough one on the border, is the spin that she has. But the most word salad answer that she gave was to a couple who talked about the rise in the cost of living.
We really would love to know what your plan is to help lower the cost of living.
Yeah, first of all, thank you both for being here. And yours is a story I hear around the country as I travel. And in terms of both rightly having the right to have aspirations and dreams and ambitions for your family, and working hard and finding that the American dream is, for this generation and so many recently, far more elusive than it's been. And we need to deal with that. And there are a number of ways. One is bringing down the cost of everyday necessities, including groceries.
Did anyone understand any of that? Unfortunately, you can't serve a word salad as a garden salad. You can't. It's just a metaphoric thing. It's not an actual real salad, which could help feed families with their groceries. Now, Donald Trump's the second assassination attempt on Donald Trump at his own international golf course in West Palm Beach, Florida, has already been memory holed. We don't know anymore about the arrested assassin Ryan Ruth, the Ukrainian mercenary. Ron DeSantis is refusing to allow him to be transported out of Florida, wants to do his own investigation, lay charges under Florida statutes, because he's only been charged with firearm offenses so far. So I guess that'll be memory hold until they attempt to try and kill Donald Trump again. But they've gone for, I guess you could call, one of the next best things, and that is to go after one of Donald Trump's MAGA-aligned candidates, the gubernatorial candidate for South Carolina, Mark Robinson. He's the lieutenant governor of North Carolina, running for a governor. And CNN claimed last Thursday that they had unearthed from a pornographic forum from more than a decade ago, where Mark Robinson described himself as a black Nazi, expressed support for reinstating slavery. The account that he is accused of posting from says that he enjoyed watching transgender pornography and referred to himself as a perv. And so Robinson has said that these are all lies. These are smears. So the reason why he is such a high-profile target is because he is an outspoken social conservative. He's a pro-lifer, but his wife had an abortion. Now his staffers are quitting as well. I noticed that Madison Cawthorn, who is I think he was from, remember, the disendorsed congressman from the 2021-2023 Congress. Remember, it was I'm just getting it up here. So Madison Cawthorn was, he was from North Carolina as well. Remember, they leaked that, well, it was basically a revenge porn clip. He was naked, simulating a gay sex on his friend's face. And so he lost his primary. So he says, well, this is what they do. But obviously that was legit, that Madison Cawthorn video. And we're going to get on to incriminating videos very shortly. But the final bit, while we're sticking on the election, is that Gavin Newsom, New Scum, as Donald Trump calls him, signed a bill in California to make what he calls deceptive deep fakes and memes illegal. And this was in response to Elon Musk sharing that clearly satirical Kamala Harris ad for president, whereas I talk about insignificant things and make them significant. So the Babylon Bee, now they've been obviously a bit cucked lately, but they nailed this. Had their own deep fake parody of Gavin Newsom talking about his achievements as governor of California.
Hi, I'm Gavin Newsom, the governor of California. This is a message for the people of America, given in my authentically recorded, non-AI voice. Thanks to my leadership over the last several years, California has become a world leader in extremist, left-wing governance. My policies were so effective that almost 1 million people are now fleeing the state every year. We even ran out of U-Hauls. During the COVID pandemic, I locked everyone in their homes and shut down businesses for months. Not the French Laundry, though. That's my favorite restaurant. Last year, I cleaned up the dangerous, messy streets of San Francisco, because Chinese Communist President Xi was coming, and I really wanted to impress him. He's my boss, after all. This year, I signed legislation that allows me to take custody of your kid if you refuse to give him artificial hormones and chop off his genitals. Because if you don't do that, you're a bigot, and bigots shouldn't be allowed to have kids. I've also led the way in green energy by banning all cars that don't run on electricity. Then I banned almost all the electricity. This is smart leadership. On my watch, the cost of living and homelessness have skyrocketed. Schools are failing. Drug dealers and human traffickers are pouring across the border. And poop has covered the sidewalks of San Francisco. This is the positive, joyful vision we offer as Democrats. That's why I'm enthusiastically endorsing Kamala Harris for president in 2024. She'll do to the country everything I did in California. Anyway, I'm California Governor Gavin Newsom, and I approve this 100% real message, which is a recording of my voice without the assistance of any AI whatsoever. This isn't a deep fake, and you can rest assured that it isn't, because I just signed an unconstitutional law outlawing deep fakes. No one would dare violate it. Thank you, and science bless America.
Yes, because the Supreme Court has ruled that satire parody, ridicule is protected under the First Amendment. And that is why my friend Dr. Clown at Media Bear is able to produce his hilarious parody videos. The most recent, of course, Come a Chameleon, and to the tune of Karma Chameleon, and also Losing My Election to the tune of REM Losing My Religion. Now, a paleoconservative Australian, I'm able to put your comments up on the screen here, but it's not showing up on the actual YouTube chat. So I asked you for updates about the Brownlow, and it just looks like I'm just randomly talking about the Brownlow in the chat. No wonder Dawn Browning is confused. So yeah, I'm putting your comments up on I certainly haven't banned you. It's YouTube that has banned you. I don't know if some people in other chats have reported you for posting asking too many questions, which of course you're not allowed to do. You're not allowed to just ask questions. And also we heard from Hillary Clinton as well, who wants, I think she was talking about the tenant media personalities, and Lauren Chen and her husband Liam Donovan, which of course was alleged to have been funded by Russia Today employees. So this was her on MSNBC saying that those spreading foreign misinformation should be prosecuted and jailed.
And boosting Trump back in 2016. But I also think there are Americans who are engaged in this kind of propaganda. And whether they should be civilly or even in some cases criminally charged is something that would be a better deterrence.
Now, in the tenant media indictment, it was unnamed in the indictment that was unveiled by the Attorney General Merrick Garland, it said that the tenant media operation was to sow a societal and cultural division in the United States in the upcoming election. But it's okay when the US government itself does this, and this is what they have done with rap and hip hop music and gangster culture for the past 40 years to create racial division, as to keep the various groups in the United States attacking each other, and so the United States government can solidify its power, and that is what the Sean P. Diddy Diddler Combs indictment is going to expose. Well, it's already unraveling. Rap music, hip hop music, the whole industry, it is literally fake and gay. P. Diddy is gay. His LA home was raided back in March. So the indictment, he was arrested last week with sex trafficking, racketeering, conspiracy, and transportation to engage in prostitution. And the one of the key, documented evidence that was seized by the feds is his freak-off parties, which had all of these rappers, hip-hop, male stars drugged up, engaged in gay sex.
They also seized evidence of the freak-offs, electronic devices that contain images and videos of the freak-offs with multiple victims. And they seized cases and cases of the kinds of personal lubricant and baby oil that Combs' staff allegedly used to stock hotel rooms for the freak-offs, more than 1,000 bottles altogether.
And so many rap, hip-hop, R&B stars, even pop stars are implicated in these freak-off parties. Now, he had his entire premises wired up with cameras for blackmail purposes. So there was drug use. The alcohol was laced with drugs. So there is Usher has just scrubbed his entire Twitter X account. Others who are likely to be implicated: Jay-Z, J-Lo, LeBron James is on video saying there ain't no party like a Diddy party. And this all goes back to, well, the days of Tupac. Tupac was gay. There is that video circulating of when Tupac was 17-year-olds in theater. He's as flamboyant as one can be. And Candace Owens, she obviously doesn't get a lot of things recently right, but she absolutely nailed it with gangster rap was never black culture. It was created by the feds who preferred deals to homosexual black men in prison, then turn them into artificial celebrity. The goal was to create false idols to destroy black American values. I'll never change my mind on this. I've seen some there's some hardcore Tupac fans in the comments who believe in the legend and the myth of Tupac. So he's not gay. That's not true. That's impossible. And of course, he was one of many rappers who was shot dead extremely young in a drive-by where the killers, murderers have gone, haven't been found after years of investigation. They should probably be called more like assassinations because, well, either they knew too much and were going to talk, and so they needed to be taken out. And so obviously, there was not just, of course, the male rappers having sex with each other. There was also the child molestation as well. And the video is circulating from when P. Diddy said that he had custody of a 15-year-old Justin Bieber for 48 hours. It's incredibly creepy. There's a lot of footage that is re-emerging of how Justin Bieber when he was a child. Remember, he was about 14 when he burst onto the scene. And the thing about male victims of sexual abuse, particularly the ones who want to become stars, they don't want anything to ruin that. And there's also so much shame with men being like admitting that they were victims of sexual assault. We remember we had a couple of months ago the release of the Quiet on Set, a documentary about the exploitation of children who worked on Nickelodeon, and how Drake Bell, the star of the Drake and Josh show, was repeatedly sodomized and molested by Brian Peck, the dialogue coach, who years back was on camera sexualizing a teenage Leonardo DiCaprio, calling him a hunky teen idol. And Leonardo DiCaprio was also frequent at Diddy's parties as well. And also when in the aftermath of the death of Aaron Carter, the child pop star drowned in his bathtub, there was renewed focus on the creator of the Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, which had Aaron Carter's older brother Nick Carter in it, Lou Pearlman, the con man who was long suspected of molesting some of the male teen idols, that he was certainly financially exploiting them. So there was a new documentary that was released on Netflix about Lou Pearlman called Dirty Pop. He originally was sent to jail for a Ponzi scheme, and he died there. So it's happened in pop music. It's happened obviously in Hollywood. I mean, there's with Roman Polanski, Harvey Weinstein, and obviously there is going back a year, 5 years now, the rape of two Corys documentary. Corey Feldman, raped by Charlie Sheen. He accuses Charlie Sheen of rape. So Hollywood, and the entertainment industry, for many years, they obviously, when it comes to family entertainment, they try to project a wholesome image when there's all sorts of abuse happening behind the scenes. And doesn't matter whether it's pop music, and now we're seeing with rap, hip hop, R&B. And the reason why, obviously now we're seeing with the LGBTQ agenda really accelerating, we are seeing that because homosexuality is least permissible in African Black cultures and countries. So of course, with these gay rappers that they recruit to be psyops on the Black community, of course, they're going to have them live a heterosexual lifestyle. Like, all the lyrics are about bitches and hoes. It can be argued that their lyrics about disrespecting women is because they don't really like women at all. And of course, Diddy caught on camera assaulting one of his girlfriends. His ex, Kim Porter, who in a memoir, she died from pneumonia at age 47, documented all of this and made copies of all the sex tapes, said, he finally got me. So for the Globo homoists, if that's a word, they need to conquer the Blacks and the African nations, and so they're now sort of trying to sort of mainstream open homosexuality in the rap, R&B, hip hop scene. Though I think Little Nas X, he's actually the opposite. He's not actually gay. He's actually married with a secret son. He's just a queer baiter. But so this has been, it's also a psyop to because a lot of the lyrics are about fueling racial grievances as well, causing this division. And Tupac's parents were Black Panthers, so that's why he was recruited. So they're trying their best to conquer have a total influence, not just over Black African culture, but nations as well. But they're not having much luck with a country such as Uganda, with its anti-homosexuality laws. And I think that, remember that Ugandan Morning Breeze host? Maybe he should get to interview Diddy because he's back.
Well, a very good morning, and thank you for joining us on the Morning Breeze right here at NBS Television. Today, a very special moment for us. We are hosting a gay rights activist, Dr. David, traveled all the way from the US to come and put a voice to the cause for the gay, the LGBT community in the midst of the debate on whether we should we should tolerate them. But, well, as he joins us, good to have you.
Good to have you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Should I call you Mr. or Mrs.?
Yes, Mr.
Why are you gay?
Who says I'm gay?
You're gay.
That's good.
Yeah, so he's not actually gay, that white dude. He's actually a pastor who does aid work in Uganda. It was on his bucket list to go on Ugandan Morning Breeze and be asked by the host. So some people have bucket lists that they want to go bungee jumping. He wants to go on Ugandan TV and be asked, why are you gay? Now, Diddy, the Diddler, is in custody at the moment. His lawyers offered a $50 million bond that was refused because he's too much of a flight risk and to threaten witnesses. So he's at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn. And that place might sound familiar to you because that is where Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide in 2019. Well, he got it on the he suicided on the second attempt, and he managed to suicide with bed sheets that apparently are hang proof, suicide proof, and the security cameras malfunction. So I'm not sure if you've seen on the internet all the memes. Didn't kill himself. I think Luke Radowski has already got a new shirt. Diddy Diddy himself. Margot says rappers have always been gay. All of them are on the down low, as if this is new to people. Now there has been over in the UK, another child sex offender, pedophile, or as the slang in the UK, they call them nonces, which stands for not on normal courtyard exercises. It's prison slang because you can't have pedophiles in the general population because, they could be bashed to death. How unfortunate. And this was one of the reasons why this judge in the UK did not sentence former BBC presenter Huw Edwards, the latest BBC pedophile. So Chief Magistrate Paul Goldspring gave him a 6-month suspended sentence to carry over 2 years. So Huw Edwards was found with 41 they were termed indecent images of children, child abuse material, which included children being penetrated. The youngest in the images was 7. It was given to him by this a Welsh pedophile, Alex Williams, and Huw Edwards gave Alex Williams a £1,000 tip for the images. He was the BBC's highest paid news presenter. Now, Alex Williams, who actually was sending around these child abuse images, he only got a 12-month suspended sentence. In the UK, in two-tier Kia, Starmageddon, Britain, 8 out of 10 of those convicted of having child abuse material on their devices, computers, are not sentenced to jail. So it was very unlikely when Huw Edwards pleaded guilty that he would actually be sent to prison. And Paul Goldspring accepted that Huw Edwards, that his mental health defense, that he suffered an abusive father when he was a child, and he felt inferior at the BBC because he didn't go to Oxford. He went to Cardiff, and also that he would be at risk in custody, well, in prison. Well, good. Now, so yeah, the judge also took into account the mitigation and early guilty plea, and that expressed remorse. Only expressed remorse that he got caught. Now, he is going to retain his BBC pension of £300,000 per year. The BBC now have said that they want the £240,000 they paid him after he got arrested, even though the BBC knew. They still paid him, and they gave him a £40,000 pay rise as well. So he is not, as part of his suspended sentence, his access to the internet is not restricted. He can actually still meet with the pedophile who gave him the images. He must attend a 40-day sex offender treatment program and 25 rehabilitation sessions. So, and the magistrate also, Paul Goldspring, also took into account that his reputation as a national treasure had already been shattered. Now, the Sun newspaper, who first exposed that Huw Edwards had paid a teenager £35,000 for explicit images, and actually arranged to meet the teenager who had a crack habit. So so clearly, Huw, he loved the fact that he could use his power to groom and prey on young male victims, and he also liked to boast about his celebrity connections to these boys that he was grooming, that he was friends with fellow Welshman Tom Jones. So the Sun released a 39-minute documentary. And the Sun was attacked at the time for exposing that he was paying a teenager £35,000 for explicit images, saying that, it was there was no illegality on that. It's just his private life. This is what his colleague over at the news agents, John Sopel, said at the time, and hoped that he could make a comeback.
We now know there was no illegality. So what are you left with? Someone's private life has come under scrutiny, who is now unwell. I think it would be a crying shame if this is the last we see of Huw Edwards on television, when the allegations have turned out to be not that much. And I think all his friends will just be wishing him well at this stage, because Huw commands huge respect in this industry.
Now, the Newsagents podcast, which John Sopel and Emily Maitlis, who defended Huw Edwards last year, host, they've been very silent on their dear, beloved, a national treasure friend, Huw Edwards. And so, but of course, they're just carrying on like nothing has changed, and that they're still the most credible journalists going around. I suggested that Huw Edwards could host a spin-off podcast of the news agents called the News Nonces. Maybe he could hire as a producer the ex-BBC Panorama director, or Panodrama, as Tommy Robinson has called it, Victor Mullaney, 76. He avoided jail after pleading guilty to having 832 child abuse images on his devices. So yes, the judge there did not sentence him to prison because of his poor health, and also particularly challenging during the pandemic, because this was in January 2022. The judge on this case was Simon Bryan, QC, though. maybe Huw could even get back a job at the BBC. This was Andrew Lawrence's latest satire piece, pretending to be the BBC Director General.
It's lovely to see a happy ending for Huw. I can't imagine how difficult the past few months have been for him. You know, none of us is perfect. We all make mistakes. Huw did do some regrettable things, but we have to take his mental health into account. Sometimes when people are really struggling with their mental health, they can get a bit noncy. That's just a fact of life. Listen, he's been through the ringer. It's time to cut the guy some slack. He went to court, the judge let him off with a suspended sentence. He's a free man, no prison time, and I think that's fair. I mean, come on, it's not as if he wrote some hurty words on Facebook, is it? When you work at the BBC, sooner or later, you're going to get involved in a bit of noncing. It's just an occupational hazard. And what are nonces at the end of the day? Just people who like children a little bit too much. What's the problem with that? Love is love, you know? As far as I'm concerned, Huw is a consummate professional. I've got nothing bad to say about him. Would I want to see what's on his hard drive? Maybe not. But what I would like to see, and what viewers up and down the country want to see, is Huw back on our TV screens. And that's why we've just commissioned a brand new flagship show for the autumn. Primetime Saturday night, BBC One, Huw Edwards Nonce Club. Just a light entertainment chat show where Huw chats to a variety of nonces from the world of television and entertainment. Not just nonces from the BBC, but all the nonces from Channel 4 as well. Old nonces, new nonces, funny nonces, singing nonces, maybe nonces from the world of sport. They'll share their favourite noncing stories with Huw, talk about some of the mishaps and funny experiences they've had whilst noncing, maybe talk about how hard it is to be a nonce in a very judgmental world. Think the Graham Norton show, but with added noncing. We're very excited about this one. We're throwing all our weight behind it, hoping for international distribution. We think this could be a big hit for us and really drive the evolution of the national discussion around noncing and tackle some of the hateful misinformation that circulates online about nonces. Good old-fashioned family entertainment like Sir Jimmy used to make. Sit down with your kids, give it a watch.
And now the BBC's coverage of Huw Edwards' sentencing was you wouldn't say sympathetic, but they certainly weren't disgusted by it, aghast by it, like the general population, and certainly the anti-child abuse campaigners who were interviewed on the likes of GB News and Talk TV. You know what I would have liked to have heard on the BBC in regard to the Huw Edwards sentence? Something like this.
It has been reported in the UK that if you're a proven dirty dog, otherwise known as a nonce, that you will do no fucking jail time whatsoever, would you believe? Instead, you'll have your so-called sentence suspended, probably to save you getting your head smashed in whilst in jail. Anyway, in other news, a 41-year-old man from Manchester was recently jailed for 118 years for putting the most despicable, disgraceful comment on his Facebook page that simply said, "No open borders." That's all from me, ladies and gentlemen. Huw, no, I done it, Edwards.
And of course, this is we've seen with the jailing of far right people who wrote things on Facebook during the riots, are sentenced to years in prison. So remember, of course, some of the most astonishing sentences was of this 53-year-old grandmother, Julie Sweeney, jailed for 15 months for posting on Facebook that mosque should be blown up. Probably very silly to post, but the fact that she was sentenced to 15 months in prison, while a pedophile such as Huw Edwards doesn't spend a day in jail. And then, of course, there is the case of Wayne O'Rourke, who, of course, he is known by on the X account. I can't remember it off the top of my head, but he was sentenced to he was sent to prison. 3 years he got in total. So he got double that. And of course, referenced in Andrew Lawrence's parody video was, of course, the BBC's most abhorrent nonce who got away with it his entire life, Sir Jimmy Savile. Now, do you know who was the director of the Crown Prosecution Service in the final years of Jimmy Savile's life when he could have been prosecuted? Instead died without ever facing justice. It was Sir Keir Starmer, and also another who went to their grave without being prosecuted for rape and sexual assault was Mohammed Al-Fayed, who was the owner of the Harrods, a luxury department store, owned Fulham FC, in a civil case is accused by 20 women of sexual assault and rape. When Keir Starmer was the director of Crown Prosecution Service, failed to prosecute him twice. And this is why Keir Starmer is not having a press conference after Huw Edwards' sentence, promising to strengthen the sentencing guidelines when it comes to convicted pedophiles. Now, it was a Mohammed Al-Fayed's son, Dodo Fayed, who was Princess Diana's lover. They died together in that, of course, car crash in the English Channel. So two-tier Keir, we've just seen further examples of it. It's going to be a long 5 years for Brits, so some might not make it through the winter. Some elderly pensioners, 10 million. Keir Starmer and his Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, or Rachel Thieves as she's known, they voted in Parliament to take away the £300 winter fuel allowance from 10 million pensioners, so they could literally freeze to death. Maybe that's the point, because they don't vote for Labor, and they probably need those houses either to bulldoze them for new apartments or to house illegal migrants. But Keir Starmer, he is, despite him being filthy rich himself, but remember, he grew up poor. His father was a toolmaker. Even though he's filthy rich now, he's still accepting freebies, including £100,000 in gifts, including £35,000 in clothing, accommodation, and glasses from Labour donor and peer Baron Wahid Ali, who is a homosexual, which why would a homosexual give Sir Keir Starmer lots of clothing there? Again, there's so much homosexuality going on in these elite circles. And he also accepted a free corporate box from his football club, Arsenal FC. Of course, none of these people who are giving them freebies would ever ask for favors in return. But Keir Starmer, he accepted the freebies from Arsenal for security purposes.
I've had a season ticket for many, many years in the stands at Arsenal. I'm a regular attender, but now for security reasons, I can't go in the stands. And therefore the club have made arrangements for me to watch from elsewhere. It's as simple as that. I'd love in a way to be in the stands. It's where I've watched I don't know how many matches, but you know, as you will appreciate, once the security advice is you can't do it, or that it costs the taxpayer an absolute fortune to put I don't know how many police officers in, then we had to make different arrangements, and we have.
Maybe you can't be in the stands with the ordinary fans because you get abused because you're so unpopular because you took away the pensioners' winter fuel allowance. Though probably if any footy fans abuse Keir Starmer, they'd probably be taken away and imprisoned. The judge who let Huw Edwards avoid prison. Paul Goldspring, he sentenced to prison Jonathan Chew and Lewis Hughes for approaching England's chief medical officer Chris Whitty in June 2021. So Chew was given a 2-week jail term, having pleaded guilty to willful obstruction of a police officer to run concurrently. And so the judge, Paul Goldspring, said, so Chris had responded to an unprecedented crisis through the pandemic with great dignity and professionalism, was titled to go about his daily life. You had significant, as I fair to say, an appalling criminal record. He wanted a deterrent to stop people accosting those who do not choose to be in the public eye. It should be Sir Chris Whitty now. So he got knighted for advising the government into all these lockdowns. Next slide, please. Anyway, way over time now. So it is conference season for UK political parties. I just got news alert that Rachel Thieves has been heckled at the Labour autumn conference. Reform just had their autumn conference. Leader Nigel Farage did an interview with the political editor of GB News, and once again I said that the likes of Tommy Robinson and his supporters not welcome in reform. Tommy Robinson has said, well, I want nothing to do with you. And his speech at reform saying, we don't care your race, religion, your sexuality. We're a party for everybody. Now, remember, reform has as its chairman a new chairman, a Muslim, so whose name is again. It's amazing what money can buy you in the UK. Although Nigel Farage just said that he's given the party to the members now, which we shall see if it actually is a Democratic Party. So yes, it is Zahir Yusuf, who's the Muslim chairman of Reform, has given a lot of money to the party. So yes, a real nationalists, particularly those who want to see re-immigration, repatriation, mass deportations. Reform is not the party. Nigel Farage said he's not actually concerned about demographic replacement, but that is certainly changing in mainland European countries, in Sweden, the Netherlands, and in Germany. The Alternative for Deutschland had another big win in the Brandenburg state elections, which is the Eastern German state, which surrounds Berlin. That's certainly calls for a celebration. Yes, so the AfD, they ended up not coming first, but they got 29.2% of the vote, just behind the Social Democratic Party on 30.9%. The left-wing Populist Party, BSW, got 13.5%. The Christian Democrats, the centre-right party of former Chancellor Angela Merkel, got 12.1%. And the rest of the parties, including the Green and the Left, failed to get seats in Parliament because less than 5%. So they've got a constitutional blocking majority. So they are trying to copy the federal coalition led by the Social Democrats, Olaf Scholz, and also with the Free Democrats and Greens. They are starting to deport some of the Afghans. Well, because Iran is deporting Afghans as well. So it is actually happening there. So it is possible, if there's certainly there is a party which those native of countries are aggrieved enough can vote for. Alternative for Deutschland is just going from strength to strength with the German federal election next year. The other bit of news is, of course, the Hezbollah members and fighters, their pages exploding, and they're becoming basically instead of a political party / militia terrorist organization called Hezbollah, they're more like has no balls. Did anyone see this Matrix memes? What use is 72 virgins when you have no balls? Agent Smith, Hugo Weaving from the Matrix saying. Now, this was probably the cleanest Israeli Mossad operation that they've done since certainly October 7, and very ingenious. The fact that, because they don't use mobile phones, Hezbollah, because they're worried about being tracked by Israel, they managed to get explosives into. First it was the pages, then the walkie-talkies blew up the next day. So there was a little girl that did die as collateral, which is obviously tragic, but there's much less collateral civilian damage than, say, an airstrike on a hospital or a school, which is, well, the airstrikes have been happening now by Israel into southern Lebanon. So Netanyahu as basically engaging in a war on 2 fronts now, and it could be on 3 or 4 fronts into Syria or Jordan, Yemen, even Iran. Anyway, that's it for Tim's News Explosion for another week. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Now, if you want to support the work of the Unshackled, you can take out a premium membership at the unshackled.net /membership. Bronze $5 a month, $50 per year, silver $10 per month, $100 per year, gold $25 per month, $250 per year, and platinum $50 per month to $500 per year. And so that's what so I use the unshackled.net to post articles. I use Substack for posting and emailing Unshackled productions, such as for tonight. So you can support us there. Monthly $5 per month, annual $50 per month, founding member $500 per month. I will put the links here into the live chat here. Now, there was no report from Tiger Mount with Richard Wollstonecroft last week. Ian Et's Place, we published a review Rich Wollstonecroft wrote of his Cafe Locked Out colleague, Michael Gray Griffith's new play, My Brother, My Brother, My Brother. But there will be a new report from Richard later in this week. And also he will be on Sam Newman's You Cannot Be Serious podcast, which is published every Wednesday. You can catch me on Reality Check Radio tomorrow on the Wilms Report, Australian Report, on the Breakfast with Paul Brennan program. Douay de Boer is still going with the dialogue. It has been moved to Mondays, 12 p.m. New Zealand time, which is 2 p.m. Australian time. And also So it's been fantastic. Reality Check Radio. Paul Brennan also recently interviewed Monica Schmidt. So they do interview a lot of Australians. So with the shutting down of TNT radio because it got its funding, donor funding pulled, Reality Check Radio is funded by its members and supporters. So it is definitely very stable. So good night, everybody. Remember to like, comment, thumbs up, like below. I'll see you all next Monday night for Tim's News Explosion, 9 p.m. Melbourne time on the Wilms Front channels. Make sure click the bell to allow for notifications, share, and I'll let you know when the next Wilms Front is. There probably won't be one this Sunday, but I'll let you know. Good night, everybody.
Tim's News Explosion. 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 Tim's News Explosion.